Curtis Mayfield. I remember, you know, and I remember like listening to Curtis Mayfield, who's like I think my all-time favorite, and like listening to these like kind of old records, like did Puff Daddy just like steal all of his all of his music,
or as he claims, I invented the remix.
Yeah, right. I was like, I like Total because I like Curtis Mayfield. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the interesting progression for like when you listen to hip hop for the first time.
Get down, baby. Let the light reflect upon your natural mood. Get down, baby. Your creative mood shall express itself. Get down, baby. After life and desire, there is nothing left. We're all children of the world. A hungry man in search for a hungry girl. The extreme supreme of all cannibals. The most waste and two-faced of all animals. Get down! Get down!
Welcome to This Broken Mixtape, the podcast that rewinds and presses play on the soundtrack to your life. I'm Jeff Wu.
And I'm Justin Lee.
When Dudebox co-founders Saeed Yassin and Ahmad Talib first began throwing parties at their Chinatown loft in 2007, they had no idea they would grow into a social enterprise. Over the past decade, they've raised nearly $200,000 for various charities by throwing a series of legendary parties in unconventional Toronto spaces. We sat down with the dudes to talk about using Google Street View to scout party locations, being introduced to the Afrocentric hip-hop of A Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, and that time when 8-time NBA All-Star Steve Nash snuck a bottle of Hennessy into one of their parties.
This week on the show, we have Dudebox founders, Saeed and Ahmad. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here. Man. Yeah.
So right off the bat, I mean, I know this is a question you guys get asked a lot, but how did you guys get started?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Saeed. The Dudebox actually was a house that we all lived in together in Chinatown. It was a 3-bedroom apartment that I think at the minimum there was always 6 guys like living there. One day, like one of our friends came in, and the way I remember it was like a stupid hot, you know, summer day, and the AC was the only room the AC was in the living room. So like one by one, we'd all kind of end up in the living room and like sleeping on the floor, on the couch, underneath tables, you know, all shirtless. And a friend walked in and he's like, "This is a fucking Dudebox," and that name kind of stuck. And yeah, that's where it came from. He also called it a shit cage, but like
doesn't have the same ring to it.
Thankfully,
Shit Cage presents.
Dudebox is the one that stuck, but it's always kind of still
unfortunately
weird in like a professional setting, trying to tell people that's what our company name is.
Yeah.
And like it's
just a bunch of sweaty dudes in a room.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure people have told you this before, but when you Google Dudebox, a couple of things that come up are like, one is this like Billy Talent EP, cassette EP, right, from like 10 years ago or whatever,
which we still haven't listened to.
No, I think Billy Talent was the OG Dudebox. Yeah.
And then the other thing I just found today was like, I don't even know what this means, but it said a puberty support kit for boys.
No, that's
Dudebox.
That's us. No, that's the other thing.
Is that you? That is you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was something else.
No. I'm playing.
Okay.
That's our side hustle.
Yeah. Puberty boxes.
There's also manga characters, I think, or manga figurines called Dudebox.
Okay.
Did you guys catch that one?
I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one's pretty cool too.
Yeah, not an original name, but it was the name that we were given, and it's the name that stuck. So
we were knighted.
Here we are. Yeah.
So tell us about that first party that you guys threw.
So yeah, way back when, I can't remember the first one, but the house in itself was always kind of, you know, the spot for everyone. You know, like you got a friend out of town who needs a place to stay, come hang at the Dudebox. You know, you got a friend of a friend of a friend who's needs a spot for his birthday party, like comes through. So it kind of was always full of people all the time. I think the first party we ever did was like, I think it was
I would say Lulu Clement.
No, it wasn't that. It was it was like a Halloween party in December, which was really weird. And I think like 50 people came. Mostly everyone was dressed as cats, but that was the first one. And I think after that, I think we caught the bug a little bit, I guess, just like we're like, oh, we're pretty good at this, like 50 people came to our house.
I think the one that blew up for us though, in the same house was I was going on a volunteer trip to Kenya, and Ryerson University was saying, if you get whatever funds you guys could raise, we'll double it. So I had the idea of throwing a party at our house, and it was 14 of us going on the trip. So this is 14 people from 14 different parts of Toronto, all with each of them like with their own different parts of, or groups of friends, sorry. And if you can imagine that under one household, I think 300 people. Yeah,
it was stupid. Like just like I remember like going into my own bedroom, and I don't know if you know the band Lemon Bucket Orchestra. They were in my bedroom like playing a set. I'm like, what the fuck is happening
I remember
in here?
That was legendary.
Yeah, and then they like migrated to the living room and playing this like Balkan folk music, like people on top of counters, on top of like someone's on top of our fridge playing a banjo. And
one guy was just hanging off of the pipes playing a tuba. I just stopped there and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
It's like, this is a movie or something. But yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Well, Syed, you were talking about earlier that you yourself don't really go out that much, and when you throw these parties, it's kind of it's stepping out of your element in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Like the what gets me excited the most is kind of finding like a new and interesting space. Like that's probably my primary function, is like looking for spaces and kind of making that connection and having us be able to throw a party in that space. So like being able to bring people into kind of a new space or a space they've never thought of in their life. There's spaces that. The last party we did on Spadina at 302 Spadina, that's like right under people's noses, that's just that massive parking lot. People are like, I didn't even know this existed, and it's sitting there, at Dundas Spadina. That's I think what excites me the most, and kind of like everything up until the actual party is what kind of like I'm into, getting things ready, checking boxes, making sure everything's tight. That's for me. But and then when the party happens, I spend majority of my time like picking up bottles and kind of listening to our bouncers tell us stories about times they kick people out. That's just like outside hanging out. Yeah.
Those are like their war stories, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even, the bouncer that we've had, Ronnie, he's been kind of our guy forever, and like now he's more like a mean uncle than he is like a security guard. Like when I see him, he's like, you don't trim your beard anymore. I was like, leave me alone, Ronnie. Yeah, but
in a loving way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Run us through the location scouting. How do you guys come across, like I know that you guys, your whole thing is to look for like sort of unconventional spaces to throw parties at. How do you come across these spaces, and how do you approach them and eventually secure that location?
Yeah, it comes together in lots of different ways. Back in the day, it was a lot of kind of just, walking up and down the streets, looking for, for rent signs that are like handwritten, those are the ones like if I see that, it's like that's like a direct link to the building owner, and I don't have to go around some real estate agent now because we're a bit older and our knees hurt. It's just like Google Street View, kind of like moving through the streets, and like if I see a space, I'm like, this looks like it might be something. Like I'll like go Google Street View, and like I'll go back in the years and be like, okay, it was this before. And then it was that a couple of years before. So let me maybe see where those buildings like relocated, connect with them. It's like detective work. I remember one time there's this space at like Lakeshore and Parliament we looked at. I think it's like a construction store or something that's vacant now. But I remember going to Google Street View, and I went back a couple of years. And like 2011, the owner had like a for sale sign that he written with his phone number, and I called it. And,
wow.
Yeah. And he's like, I was like, hey, I'm just interested to know if maybe you'd be interested in like doing like a short-term rental in your space. I know that it's going to be demolished in a few months, so just putting that out there. And he's like, how do you have my number? And I was like, I was on Google Street View, and like I went back in a couple of years, like 2011. You had your number on the window, so like I just like zoomed in, and then I wrote it down. And he's like, that's fucking weird, man. But that's kind of what you got to do, It's a lot of awkward conversations, But like sometimes you find that person who's like, yeah, you can do that. And kind of because we're like, maybe I don't want to say trailblazers, but like, you know, the first in these spaces, there isn't like a reference for these building owners, you know, so like we kind of are able to,
We set the precedence.
yeah, we kind of dictate the prices, you know, of the rental, so we're able to kind of like save money there before those spaces blow up. Like I was talking about that space at 500 Keel, we were the first ones to use the space, and like what we paid for it then versus like what it's going for now is like, you know, night and day. So yeah.
Tell us about some of your favorite locations that you guys have thrown parties at.
I think that my favorite one was the last one we just did, actually, on Spadina. I thought that was really cool. As at one point I was just up on a rooftop filming the entire thing, and I looked around and I was like, oh my god, we're in downtown Toronto, buildings surrounding us, and in this tiny pocket of downtown Toronto we've managed to find a space. And I had graph artists come up to me in the middle of the party being like, man, I didn't even know this place existed. So when you have graph artists coming up to you being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know you found a dope spot. So
Yeah. I think
I never got to do the car wash one, but that would have been my favorite.
You were in Japan, but like we threw a party. This is my favorite in Planet Car Wash that used to be at King in Bathurst.
Yep.
It's long gone now, but yeah, that was like just the funniest like circumstances with like that coming together. I remember seeing that property on a website called viewit.biz. It's like viewit.ca, but like for the business side. And I remember calling the phone number on the listing, and like no one picked up. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go in and talk to whoever's there and like see if I can make it happen. I remember like going in, and so generally like depending on like who I'm talking to, like there's like a series of like lies I give people to kind of like get to the final boss, you know. So like the woman that was working the front desk, I was like, you know, I'm looking for a space to shoot a movie, and I just was kind of trying to get a hold of the owners of the building to see if they'd be okay with it. And she's like, I'll only give you the owner's phone number if you promise I can be in your movie. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. You can be in the movie, extra number 7 or whatever. Like you're in. And I remember like it took weeks and weeks and weeks to kind of finally make it happen. And I remember the day of the party, we're all like stupid busy, you know, just like throwing a party in a car wash. There's like so many dumb things that we didn't think of that we had to do, you know, just trying to make it safe for people. And I get a phone call, and it's this woman, and she's like, hey, it's Olivia. And I'm thinking, who's Olivia? And she's like, Said, I'm so sick. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear you're sick. I'm like, who is this person? She's like, I can't be in your movie today. And I was like, that's all right. I'll get you in the next movie.
Did she ever ask like what movie is it?
No. Yeah. I think when she came in to work the next time, I think she figured out that there was no movie and all the walls were smashed.
Shattered.
Well, it's a movie about a party, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good
Party
segue.
scene.
I wanted to get into like movies and party movies specifically, that as a genre, you know, obviously like House Party 1, 2, and 3
absolutely
are kind of like the big ones. But you know, other than those ones, you can pick those ones if you want. But what are some of your favorite house party movies? Movies.
I mean, Old School's good.
Yeah.
I mean, not a movie, but I don't know if you remember the episode of Fresh Prince when they had Belle Biv DeVoe perform in the living room.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That's a good party.
Yeah. Will
I
kept
put
trying to be
that
in the
on my
movie.
top list. Yeah, for sure. I don't think I really have a good party movie. Have there been good ones besides Old School?
Yeah.
And Fresh Prince?
There's been a lot of terrible ones for
Yeah.
sure. You know, there was like, what was that movie called? Project X.
Yeah, the one that just
yeah.
came out a couple years ago, right? Yeah. I never actually watched that
That wasn't
one.
very good.
There's some people who think that that's like what we do. Like I remember one guy messaged us. He's like, "Hey, I'm moving out of the city. I want to do a party like you guys, where you just fucking ruin everything, and like people are fucked up." I was like,
That's complete opposite of what we do. Yeah.
I don't know if that's us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're thinking of us. But good luck in your ventures.
Well, I think that's interesting because I mean, it's really commendable what you guys do, and I'm wondering, was that always the case? Were you guys always, let's throw a party and just donate all the proceeds to a charity?
No, it was never like that.
So tell us how that all came to be.
So when we were living in the loft, we used to throw parties for profit, and eventually we started noticing that it was like tearing our friendship apart because we would argue over who got what and how much. And then, I'd gotten back from my volunteer trip in Kenya, and Daniel and Said had invited me to a pizza shop, Pizza Libretto, I think, at the time. And we had just discussed donating all of the money to charity. And it was at that point that I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we were supposed to do. Yeah, for sure.
Especially like back in the day, it was like splitting like $60 between like 7 guys. We're like, I don't have change.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and we all felt good about it. We're like this feels good and this feels right, and yeah, that's kind of how we move through it. I think a lot of people think these like kind of altruistic kind of angel dudes, but yeah, it kind of just like,
no, we're still assholes.
Yeah.
We just like giving money to charity.
Yeah. And like the charity aspect of the party is not even something we don't really big up, I don't think, like it's I think the idea of like a quote unquote like charity event is kind of corny, you know what I mean? So like,
or taboo,
Yeah.
And you get like donors fatigue eventually, right? Eventually people, if you keep calling it a fundraiser or a charity party, I feel like eventually people stop showing up, get donors fatigue or something.
Or like the parties have to be dope, they have to be interesting. And even one of my favorite things is like, I'll get a random message from someone on whatever, Facebook, or be like, hey man, that was like the best party I've ever went to. Like it was a crazy location. And then like a couple days later, they'll be like, did you give all the money away too? It's like, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, we give it all away. It's like mind blown. Like what's happening?
Yeah, we also like the idea of a social enterprise being a business model, So I feel like if we were to spread any knowledge about what Dudebox does, it would be the social enterprising part of it. Yeah.
So how do you guys, like, what's the selection process like in terms of deciding which charity to donate to?
There's not really kind of any rhyme or reason, like I think we all have like a group chat, and I think we're all pretty conscious people, and someone will be like, you know what, we haven't raised money for this, or like this is happening in the world, maybe we should lean towards that, or we've got a good network of socially conscious friends as well who are like, hey, have you heard of this charity? They're young and up and coming in Toronto, and like even whatever, a couple $1,000s could really help them kind of to the next level, and I think of late we've been helping more, I think, smaller grassroots organizations,
local charities as well.
Yeah, like I work in the non-for-profit sector, and like you have to be an established non-for-profit for 2 years before you can start to pull government funding in. So like those first 2 years are really hard for people to sustain themselves. So if we can fill the gaps, if we can help out, yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah,
but like
sure.
even if we decide on a charity, at the beginning of the month and probably at the end of the month, if something happens in the world, like we pivot or we'll split the donation, we kind of make it work. For me personally, I don't know. It's not even like the dollar amount that gets raised. It's more the awareness of it all.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You can do something cool, and you can give back as well.
It wasn't. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a charity. Actually, I'm a teacher, and I taught a former student of mine in Regent Park. Had an incident that happened to him, and I approached the guys about this incident, and I told him, and he was a big time basketball celebrity in the neighborhood, and I told the guys about the incident, and I told them, I think it'd be really cool if we bought him courtside tickets to a Raptors game, and the guys were totally down. Bought him 2 tickets for him and his brother to go see a courtside game.
Yeah,
but it's like things like that, not necessarily charity.
But yeah, we help out where we can.
Yeah.
Do you guys have, in terms of numbers, do you know how much you've donated over the last? It's been 11 years since you guys launched, right?
Yeah. I think
I got this number wrong last time.
You did,
and then corrected me.
I think we're approaching 200K. I think we'll hit there in the next little bit. But yeah, it's crazy to think of these stupid things we do. Have amassed that much money.
How many parties do you guys normally throw in a year?
4, 5 a year.
Yeah, I think we always do a Halloween party. That's like a staple, and then everything else kind of comes together when it comes together. Like when a space becomes available, I'll be like, guys, I found this space. I think we can throw a party in it, and if all the guys are kind of like everything, the stars all align, we're like, let's roll. let's do it. But yeah, I don't think we're not really mandated to do, you know, a certain amount, but I think it usually falls around the 5 or 6
range.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your Halloween parties. I mean, they've become infamous over the years. Tell us about your favorite Halloween party that you've thrown, and also what can we expect, if you can give any details, for this year's Halloween party.
Oh, I'm stoked for this year's one. But you want to touch on which one you're?
Yeah, you say you're stoked, like we know what we're doing.
I know, right?
We know
everything's still up in the air.
We know that we're
the
doing a
idea
party.
is-
Yeah. My favorite Halloween party, maybe the one I met my girlfriend at. I don't know, maybe that's a little cheesy, but
I want to hear that story.
yeah. You know,
We like cheesy on the show.
yeah. So I don't know, this is 2011, and actually, so we had a friend of a friend whose mom owned this like big ass house, and for like months, this guy, I don't know, maybe he just wanted to be a part of it all. I don't know. He wanted to be one of the dudes.
Shout out to Alex.
Love the guy, but I think he gassed us up a little too much, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I got this big ass house. You guys can throw a party in it, no problem." And then like 2 days before, he's like, "Yo, my mom said you can't."
Oh.
And
It's like straight out of a movie.
Yeah. And so
That's a setup for every single house party movie.
and so like we had all these people who were like potentially gonna like hate our guts, because we're like, for weeks we're throwing a party in a massive house. It's gonna be crazy. And then it ended up being like 2-bedroom apartment. It was just so dumb. Like I remember just being like wall to wall with people, and like 6 people were like, "Fuck this, we're leaving." And we're like, yeah, please do. Please. It'll clear up some room for everyone. And
How'd you meet your girlfriend?
Yeah, it was actually like a friend of mine who, my girlfriend's from Australia, and she did a year exchange at York. And a friend of mine, I think either he was like the person who would show all the exchange students around, or he was like just the guy who kind of levitated to all the exchange students and like hung out with them, pretended like he was one of them. But he told them about this Halloween party that we were throwing, and so he was like, "You guys should all check it out. It'll be like a cool like Toronto experience." So like he didn't end up making it, but she ended up coming. I remember actually, like, I guess it was one of his friends came up to me and like handed me a Blue Gator and was like, "Alex is sorry he couldn't make it." I was like, "Who the fuck's Alex? And I don't want your Gatorade. Get this away from me." But I don't drink, and I remember like my girlfriend now, like she came up to me, and I guess the assumption I was like drunk as well, and she was like, "Hey, I'm Adelaide," and I was like, "This is Gary. Get away from me." But thankfully, like I had the sense to get her contact, so we ended up, you know, meeting up later. But I think that was probably the most memorable for me.
For you?
Yeah.
I think my favorite one was in the Dudebox, the OG Dudebox Chinatown one. Everyone came dressed like in the perfect characters. Everyone was really on their game for this Halloween. And I remember at one point, actually, we had an amazing photographer at that time. Rest in peace, Andrew Capra. And for anyone who's into photography, you should check out some of his photography. He had one shot. It was outside of the house. And it was a girl dressed up as a chicken talking casually to the Hamburglar. Nice. And there was a girl that looked like she was dressed like a prostitute, I think. Is that PC to say prostitute? Yeah. Sex worker? And it was just the scene in front of the building was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was perfect.
Well, let's get into the music aspect. Mm-hmm. How do you guys find your DJs, and, you know, is there a direction as to like what they have to play? I mean, what do you guys tell them?
Well, our resident DJ, shout out to James Reddy and John Chetty. We found them first when we were throwing parties at Sneaky D's, right?
Yeah. I don't know how it came about, but I think
he was throwing parties for someone else at the time, or he was throwing his own parties at Sneaky D's. And we were at Sneaky D's just visiting. We heard him play, and we were like, man, start playing for us.
But I think our tagline back in the day was always like, play songs that girls want to hear.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Just like no aggressive rap music that make dudes like push to the front and throw like their pistol fingers in the air. Like that's not what we're about. Make it fun for everyone. But the way it comes together now, you know, like I don't know. I think we're all pretty connected in the scene now, and we all have, you know, like lots of friends who like, yo, have you heard of this person? Check this person out. Or people will just kind of DM us, be like, hey, check out my mix or whatever. And if we've got a party going on, like we'll probably be able to get you on the next one, you know. So it all kind of comes together in random ways. But everyone is a friend more often than not, and you know, like they're all really supportive of the cause. Like most of the time, you know, we'll be like, hey, here's your pay for the day, and they'll be like, just donate it. So I think they all kind of, you know, get the vision. Or if they don't take their pay, they'll give us a massive discount, you know, on just because they support the cause.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you guys ever have like international DJs play, like somebody that happens to be in town at the right time?
Yeah, we had. Well, actually, I don't know if you can consider him. Well, yeah, he's international now, of course, but we had Win Butler come and play once. Okay. That was funny.
Which party was that?
It was the warehouse party in Liberty Village.
Liberty Village, yeah. I think it was like before we got in there. It was,
and it was All-Star Weekend that day.
Yeah. It was like a furniture warehouse or something.
Right.
I don't know how it came together. Actually, yeah, we were doing a kind of a collab with these guys who do these moonshine parties in Montreal, and they're tight with Win, and he was playing the Celebrity All-Star game, and so like Win will come DJ, and his wife has this charity called Can Pay, so you guys can donate to that, and he'll come play. Yeah, that
was pretty rad. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But he wasn't a good DJ.
No, he was definitely playing the Monster Mash, the peak of the party, and everyone was super confused.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, because this is in February. It's like, why are you playing the Monster Mash?
Why is this happening? Mr. Win Butler. Yeah.
It was great though. It was great.
Yeah, I remember Steve Nash came to the party, and he doesn't look like a basketball player. You know, he just looks like a guy.
Yeah.
He walks right to the front, and I happened to be outside at the time.
And it was minus 32 that day.
Yeah.
It was fucking
the coldest day of the year. And he comes up to the bouncer, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on list." And our bouncer around, he's just like pushes him right in the chest. It's like, get to the back of the line. And I kind of like grab Steve Nash, and it's like, this is 2-time NBA MVP Steve Nash. He can come with me. So, I think he actually also snuck in his own bottle of Hennessy. So,
Nice.
Yeah. But
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say we have a lot of international DJs that come and play with us, but we've had a lot of surprise guest appearances, which were pretty cool. Yeah. We've had Roy Woods. Nice. All of a sudden, before he was even signed, I think, to OVO.
Yeah.
Just jump on a stage and absolutely kill the crowd. It was amazing. Rocked it.
Yeah, we had Coleman Howell play one time as well. Keith Ape, you remember that guy, Keith Ape? Yeah. I remember he was like, "Give me $5,000 and I'll play Ichima twice." I'm like, "We'll give you $100, man."
We actually managed to talk him down to $100.
We'll give you $100, and you can play it once. Deal.
It was good.
Yeah. But you know, it's kind of just like the nature of things, you know, like these things come together so quickly, right? Like if we find a space, we don't want there to be too much time between like once we like kind of source it, between when like the party happens. We don't want anyone to kind of get there in the middle, you know, and kind of mess things up for us, or give the owner too much time to think about it, you know, because I think if they have it and they can stew a little bit, they'll be like, this is not a good idea. Why would I do this? So it's like things move like really quickly. Yeah. And to be honest, even our last party, like I probably shouldn't even say this, like
maybe don't say it.
No?
Wait, what are you going to say?
Say it. No. Like
you can edit this.
The party was Saturday, and like straight up, we didn't even like finalize it till Thursday. Like the contract was signed on Thursday. Like it's all very precarious and like held together by like tape that could all unravel like at any moment. But I feel like, and I believe this, you know, like we build up enough good karma, I think, that things always kind of come together for us in the end, you know.
Do you guys ever have like a backup plan, like in terms of location?
Not for the last one. Definitely stressed out about it.
I don't even know what we would do. I don't know, but I do believe that it would sort itself out.
Yeah.
I do.
Seriously,
I do believe
yeah.
that. Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Straight up, like every single party, there's like some like insurmountable like thing that happens, and we'll all be like crunching our heads, be like, all right, we could do this, we could do this, and even so take like the party we did at Ossington Tire. I remember. So those guys were like kind of in the midst of like gutting the space, and we were gonna be the first party in there, and Lauren had to do her mural, but in front of the space, she was gonna do her mural. There was like this like gnarly pile of like jagged metal, and she's like, well, I need to start like as soon as possible, so like what are we gonna do? And you're like, I put on a pair of construction gloves, and I was like, you know what, let me call the guys, see who's like around, maybe we'll just like smash it out, like move it a couple feet, and that'll be like enough room for her to paint or whatever, right? So like I call everyone's like, nah man, I can't come. Ian was the only one who was like, yo, I'll be there in half an hour, and we'll do it. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll just start doing it, and when Ian gets here, we'll do it together. And I see like 9 Venezuelan dudes in the back alley kind of calling me over, and I was like, hey, like, what's up? And they're like, what's up with that pile of metal? And I was like, it's just a pile of metal. They're like, can we have it? I was like, yes, you can have it. They're like,
Take it all.
$6 a pound. I was like, all yours, my friend. And then they just came and like powerhoused it all into their truck and took it. And I was like, call Ian. I was like, we're good, man. Some guys, like that shit always happens.
It does,
you know?
yeah. There's a lot of we have horseshoes stuck up our asses for sure.
Yeah.
Somehow.
This is that time of the show where we like to kind of delve into your own personal journeys with music. And one of the questions we like to ask is, you know, just growing up, like think early childhood, what was being played around the house in terms of, and give us like specific like albums and like artists, bands.
For me, it was I was born in Kenya, so for my dad, he would listen to a lot of Afro beats. So it was like Kanda Bongo Man, a lot of that. My mom would listen to a lot of Celine Dion and ABBA.
Okay.
Like greatest hits ABBA. All of Celine Dion's greatest hits. And then when I don't know, as I got older, I guess like 3rd, 4th grade, I started diving into my own style of music, and I think I remember back in the day, I don't know if it was like Universal, but they would send out Post-its almost through the mail, and you could like peel off which album you wanted to buy for 1 cent each.
Columbia House.
Yeah, it was Columbia House. That's it.
We've talked about this on previous shows for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's like a lot of people's entry points.
Absolutely,
into
it's
music,
crazy,
right?
Yeah. So I would like just peel off whatever I could find that I thought was interesting. So I think my first albums were No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom, Our Lady Peace. I think I Mother Earth was on the list too. So that was like my first adventure into music. That was like my own style of music that I wanted to listen to. And then I eventually got into hip hop because a friend of mine, we would just go to his house and we'd sit on the couch for hours watching. I think back in the day we'd record. I don't know if you guys did this, but we'd record music videos for Much Music on VHS. Yeah. And you would just sit on the couch and just watch old school, like just all the music videos. And I stumbled on Puff Daddy's No Way Out. Remember the song? Sun don't shine forever. As long as it's here, might as well shine together. Yeah, that was my first entry point into hip hop. And I was like, oh, sweet. I love this. It's dope. And as I got older, it was more like, my stepdad got me into Earth, Wind, and Fire and a lot of jazz like Miles Davis. Anita Baker was definitely on the list. But yeah, definitely. I've had a huge range of music go through my life.
Yeah, you listen to a lot more music than I do. But I remember my parents both didn't really listen to a lot of music in the house. Not a lot of music sung in English. Like my mom listened to a lot of Somali music. But I remember my dad, I think, when he moved from Somalia to Oklahoma, I was born in Oklahoma, the first car he bought had a Dolly Parton cassette that was already in the deck. And my dad held onto this cassette like forever. And I remember just like, me and my brothers would take it and we would hide it. He'd always find it. And I feel like Dolly Parton like helped him learn English in like a roundabout way, like super weird. But thankfully though, like my parents actually like brought my uncle from Somalia and kind of like raised him. He's more like a brother to me than he is an uncle. He's like 15 or 12 years older than me, and kind of like when I was young, he was like in high school, and it was like around like the really kind of Afrocentric time of hip hop. Like he would listen to A Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul and like Black Sheep, and like when he would go to work, like I'd like sneak in his room and jump on his waterbed and like listen to these CDs, and kind of that's where it all kind of came from for me. And as I think the first CD I think I tried to buy was in grade 5. It was Green Day, and my uncle wouldn't let me buy it. He's like, nah, but that's not you. But I was like, but I like them. And he's like, no, that's not for you. I think the first CD that I ever bought with my own money was Illadelph Half-Life.
Nice.
I think it was the second.
Such a good album. Yeah.
That was me. But yeah, my uncle introduced me to like tons of music, and he kind of still does. Like Curtis Mayfield. I remember, and I remember like listening to Curtis Mayfield, who's like I think my all-time favorite, and like listening to these like kind of old records. Like, did Puff Daddy just like steal all of his
pretty much
all of his music?
Or as he claims, I invented the remix.
Yeah, right. I was like, I like Total because I like Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the interesting progression for like when you listen to hip hop for the first time and you're like, oh, okay. Like as you get older, you're like, oh man, like the reason why I love this so much is it's because it's rooted in like, R&B, soul.
Absolutely.
The blues, just all that. And then you're like, okay, let me just listen to that instead.
Absolutely. And like now kind of the way how music is so accessible, like to kind of go back and dig and, like find the roots of everything is like, so easy, right? Like just like a couple of Spotify clicks away, and just like even now it's being opened up to all this new stuff all the time that I already have a deep connection to. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I remember when we stumbled on who bought Bobby Caldwell.
Yeah. You know Bobby Caldwell?
Yeah, absolutely.
There are
Great.
times.
But we were both like, he's white.
Yeah, it tripped me out. Tripped me the fuck out.
My whole
it was
life,
great.
My whole life is a lie.
There's certain, for sure. There's certain artists that you like find out that they're white, and you're like, what?
What happened? Yeah.
Red Rat. The Red Rat blew my mind.
He's white.
Oh my God, he's got red hair.
Makes sense.
I remember being in Chicago and seeing him for the first time randomly. Chicago, shout outs to Chicago. It's a great city. I just showed up to this one reggae bar, 4:00 in the morning. This guy was just like, he was on stage and just singing all these bangers. And I was like, who is this guy? And then he sang, his most famous song, Hey, You Get Up With The Tides. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And then that's when it hit me. I was like, oh my God, Red Rat is a white guy with red hair. That was amazing.
Did you say that out loud, or that was just inner?
Just like hit me in my head. Just
Yeah.
It was great though. Yeah.
So this was like a superhero origin story. Tell us about the first party that you guys individually threw pre-Dudebox.
Oh.
There's this,
You know what? Like my family house is like kind of a Dudebox in a sense. Like my parents are the ones to always like have people over all the time. Like I remember countless nights when I was young, and I'd be asleep in my room, and a stranger would wake me up and be like, I'm going to sleep. And I'd be like, who are you, and why are we having this discussion? And like, I'm your uncle, give me your bed. And like, it's just like family was just like in the house all the time. Like, I don't know how many times we had like 2 people who I was told were my aunt and uncle who were getting married, but I realized later in life that they weren't related to us at all. But like getting married at our house, like our house was just always full of people. Like my mom, like I think I get the nurturer. I feel like I'm probably the dad of the group, maybe. Would you say so? I
got dad-like qualities.
I want to take care of everyone. I want to feed everyone. Tell everyone to drink water and eat vegetables. So like my parents' house growing up was always full of people. Like so. Yeah, I feel like that answers your question in like a really roundabout way, but yeah.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just like an African thing.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, definitely grew up with my family throwing a lot of gatherings. But I would say my first party that I ever threw was in grade 6. I grew up in the hood too, so it was just like all the hood kids coming. None of them brought presents at all. And I think one of my friends actually gave me some money. And then the day after, the community center was like, yeah, if all the kids sign up and pay this amount of money, you get to be on the show Uh-Oh. Remember that show, Uh-Oh?
No.
It was on YTV back in the day.
It sounds familiar.
With like the slime?
Yeah, with the slime pouring down on your head.
Okay,
Yeah.
And my friend Noah, who had given me the money to my birthday party, was like, man, you think I can get that money back so I can go on this trip? I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that was my first, I would say my first party. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. Yeah.
So that's almost time for us. But before you guys go, I want to ask you, what are the key ingredients to any great Dudebox party?
The key ingredients.
I think like a weird space is definitely one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know, coming to these parties like with an open mind maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. The ability to feel safe at our parties, for sure. I've had a lot of people just come up to me and be like, it's crazy just how safe the space feels, especially since, you throw parties in the most random locations. I would definitely say that that's like a huge important factor to our parties as well. Yeah. And just the vibe, man. It's always been the vibe. And the vibe's always been positive. Everyone loves each other. I've had a couple people even come up to me and be like, this is one of the most adult parties I've ever been to. And it's like mad fun.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like they're always really responsible, and not like in a way that it's corny. But
No. It's a weird like dichotomy of like things happening. Like people who are there just because it's like a cool party. People are there because it's like the charity, or people there. It's there for like whatever kind of reason. But it all kind of comes together in like the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've had people approach us all the time, like, yo, you could do this every weekend. It's like I don't think we could.
No.
I don't think it'd be the same.
I think it would lose its appeal for sure.
Yeah.
You guys would be burnt out as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We all work
weekend.
full-time jobs. Too.
Yeah, and like
None
for
of
us is
get paid.
this for us is straight volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I think we all recognize like how fortunate we all are to be like in the situations we are. like my parents fucking born in Mogadishu. You know what I mean? Like how easily could my life be so different? So I think we're all trying to like give back in the way we can. We found an interesting way to do it that kind of engages the youth, and here we are.
Yeah, it's dope.
So where can people catch the next party? I mean, you don't have to tell us the location, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you have the date set?
We do. Yes.
I think it's going to be on the Saturday, the 27th.
Yep. Can I speak on the one space we're looking at?
I don't think so, man.
Come on,
someone's
This
so
is gonna air in two weeks.
Yeah.
okay. Nah.
Okay. We'll keep the space.
But-
It's a dope spot. It's a dope
tell
spot.
us after.
We'll keep
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a couple things cooking.
Yeah.
It'll be somewhere. Like definitely, there's going to be a party that happens, without a doubt. What I really want to do is, I don't know if this is the time though, but like I want to take it back to like like the early '90s raves and like get everyone on a bus and take them up to North York or somewhere like that. And,
Sure.
But logistically, I don't know how that's gonna work.
It'll work, man. We just need some sponsorship money.
Yeah.
Holler at
Sponsors
us.
holler. Yeah. Throw us that money.
All right. Thanks so much, guys, for being on the show.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. This was a pleasure.
You've been listening to Season 2, Episode 20 of This Broken Mixtape with Dudebox co-founders Saeed Yassin and Ahmad Talib. If you haven't already, visit thisbrokenmixtape.com to check out this episode's Spotify playlist. There you'll also find all of our past interviews and custom illustrations for each show. If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to subscribe, rate, and share our podcast however you're tuning into us today. Also, if you have any comments, feedback, or ideas for guests, feel free to drop us a line through our website, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find all our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, the Buns Podcast Network, and now Spotify. Join us back next week with our interview with Dr. Chaim Newman, psychologist to musicians. As always, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Cheers.